There it is. Hey guys, how you going?
Hey, handsome.
Dude,
Doing all right.
Yeah, we're good. How are you?
Good, very good.
Where are you?
Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Okay, that sounds like a
Ooh.
fun place.
Yeah, I've always
It's
seen
a
that
great
name
place.
on tour posters and things over there, and I'm like, Grand Rapids sounds really fun.
And fast.
Sounds
Mm.
majestic.
Yeah, it
It does,
does.
right?
Majestic
Anything
sounding,
with
right?
grand in it.
Have you stood on
Yeah,
any
it's
mountains since you've been there and gone like this?
no, there aren't any mountains around.
Oh, that's deceiving.
Yeah, we don't know
No
anything about Cairns,
mountains.
clearly. But dude, thanks for taking the time to hang out. We're stoked to have you here.
Sure, thanks for having me. I'm stoked to be here.
I'm going to start things off with congratulations on just continuously smashing it out of the park. The
Yeah,
new
like
album,
with
Death Below,
yeah,
is
the
phenomenal.
35th best album you guys have made, like in a
Yeah.
row.
Cheers. Thank you so much.
We
Thank
we
you.
don't share this in the channel very often, but Johnny and I will often send each other your videos from Instagram where you're just like tapping away, doing something, being like, fucking talented man, good at everything.
Yeah, god
So
damn.
just yeah, when we rave about you guys on the channel, it's not just for the channel, we also rave just to each other as well.
Mm.
There's a definite love for what you do.
Thank you so much. That means a lot.
No, our pleasure, man. So how does it feel? The album's been out now for a few weeks. How has the response been?
It's been great. As you guys mentioned, this is our ninth album, is what we're calling it. Some people say 10 because they count Sled and Hill. It's just so awesome to be doing this for so long and having people still come to our shows and care and like still give us the kind of like just making us feel good by saying like, hey, Constellations might be my favorite album because that's when I got into you guys, but I really like Death Below.
Yeah,
I like
cool.
what you guys are still doing today. So the response has been great.
It is a pretty incredible longevity for such a heavy band as well, and you guys have always tried new things and done different exciting things, but also been able to stay right in that ABR wheelhouse, and everyone still just be like, oh, this is fucking great. I could listen to this forever.
Yeah, we do have such a wide spectrum of what can fit inside of what makes up that ABR sound, right? I
Oh
feel
yeah.
like sometimes metalcore some certain bands can feel stifled for fitting in this sort of like structured thing where the songs have to fit this mold. But I just think that JB, being the main songwriter over the years, has done such a good job of expanding that, and allowing us to do so many different sounds and continue to evolve our sound and to develop to where it is today that we can do all these different kinds of elements.
As you guys do write in a unique way, unique to most bands, in that you kind of share the workload and you all offer different elements. Is that something that is considered each individually, being like, okay, what is ABR sound? What are we gonna? How am I writing this to still fit in that? Or is it just like individually we want to write what we want to write, and then together we make this sound like us?
Yeah, I think it's always just been we want to write what we want to write. If I'm writing something, I sort of let the song dictate to me where it's going. Um, I'll use Backfire as a reference from the new record. That was the first song I completed for Death Below. And it was a song that sometimes I struggle with, uh, trying to figure out where is the song going. With Backfire, it was able to flow from start to finish with no interruptions. And it just told me like, this song needs to be heavy the whole way through. We're just going to continue this tempo. We're not going to slow it down. We're not going to do an interlude. We're just going to keep going and keep the intensity up. So yeah, if I'm writing something, I sort of just let it dictate where it's going to go. In the past, I've done stuff where I've tried to like, shoehorn an interlude in somewhere, maybe slow the song down, add some dynamics, and just didn't work because I was like fighting myself with trying to take the song somewhere else. And so I think it's best to just like sit down there, work on it, let it flow, and let it come out organically and naturally, and not try to shoehorn a part in there that doesn't belong.
Yeah.
Is that been there's like a couple of interlude songs on the album, and even the intro is fairly different for you guys as well. Has adding those elements helped you kind of, I guess, be more comfortable with just going for a more quote unquote straightforward banger like that?
Um, think what about those sort of interludes, or like you mentioned, like the intro. The intro was exciting because that was the first for us to do something like that. And JB wrote that premonition into the cleansing, and that was one song. And he had the idea that I want to separate this, make an intro into the cleansing, and do this sort of like this, like he had written the lyrics for that as well. So he had the idea to do this like sort of speaking part and build intensity. Um, and you know what? Those parts like that are exciting because it's new territory for us. And then the interludes are they're very exciting as a writer to like step back and think outside of the box and ask yourself, what can I add to this section that I haven't done before? You know, when we take the gain away from the guitars and slow it down, it gives us the opportunity to add some auxiliary instruments and maybe do some like heavy effects on guitar parts to the point where, oh, that doesn't even sound like a guitar on the record. We were able to like mess with that. Fool's Gold and the Bear Trap sort of being to me, because I wrote Backfire, I'm sorry, Tightrope, Fool's Gold, Backfire. I kind of viewed Fool's Gold as the interlude in between those songs, and I connected those three songs into one. Even though they're written separately, I kind of viewed it as that. And when I got to Fool's Gold, I was so excited to like, I just finished Backfire, and I think Tightrope just before that too. And I was so excited to like experiment with a clean guitar part and say, what else can I add to this that's different? Since I was just stuck on writing two songs that were just heavy, straightforward the whole way through.
Yeah, cool.
Do you have inspirations in the heavy music scene that you draw on more than others in writing, or has it always been you write for your sound, or is it like, oh no, I love the way Refused have done this before, I just chose a band that's influenced everyone ever, but like, you know, do you draw elements from any other bands in there to being like, okay, this is something I think would work really well for us, we've never tried before, or is it just like songs? What sets you on fire when it comes to that songwriting process?
Yeah, so I think as far as like the heavy influences go, the inspiration that I pull from other bands is more like um going to a show and seeing a band and being so stoked on, I don't know if it's just the element of being there at the show and really feeling it and connecting with it, that I've left shows before that have made me really want to write music because I felt so inspired. I haven't felt inspired by like a heavy band in particular, but I've been to shows. Like I saw Gojira at Aftershock Festival in 2021, and I was so inspired by how tight they were, how good they sounded, how everything was just so. I was captivated by their performance, and I was like, I want to go write music right now. But I wasn't influenced by their sound. It was just like the whole experience had me so pumped. And I've had bands like Minus the Bear pull me in like that before, where I just seen them play, and I'm like, I want to go write music now. So
Yeah, so
they didn't inspire me to like write music that sounded like their bands, but it really inspired me to want to write something sick.
yeah,
you
cool.
know?
No, I like that.
Yeah.
Have you got a favorite recent live memory?
Recent live memory.
Or a band you've seen lately that's been like, fuck yeah, that blew me off my feet.
So I'm getting ready to go to some shows after this tour. So had you asked me a month, I probably could have come back to you with that. But
Stupid timing.
Honestly, though, no, Bleed From Within. They're opening up the tour that we're in on right now, and I don't usually watch bands on tour, and especially like this tour here, like haven't had a lot of free time to myself. But I find time almost every night to watch them because they are so unbelievably tight and professional. And I love Shrine, their latest record. I love Fracture, the record before that. And they're such great dudes. I love them so much.
Yeah, we're big fans of those boys.
I'll say them just because I love watching them. They're so good.
They're also, I guess, for me, they're kind of similar to you guys as well in the sense that they've quite like that traditional metalcore sound. They haven't really gone too far into the new, like the modern sort of gent, super down tuned 7-string sort of stuff as well, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, sort of staying true to the sound, right? Always expanding, but also staying true to the point where you hear a Bleed From Within song and you go, yep, that's Bleed From Within. And same thing with us. You hear an ABR song and it's expanded a little bit, but you're like, fits right into the category.
Yeah, that's one thing I wanted to sort of talk about as well, was you guys have a pretty individual and distinct sort of sound, especially in the way the guitars are written. I just think it's a cool thing. I was thinking about it on the way over, actually. Just we haven't had an influx of August Burns Red copycats, which I think is pretty cool.
Off the back of that, though, I think that's because this is going to sound like I'm just blowing smoke up your ass, but bear with me here. I think it's because
they're too good.
Actually, I do think it's because you guys have a whole band of incredibly talented individuals that all play off each other.
Yeah.
Like we talked with Eddie from Imminence recently, and he's like, "Oh yeah, when we started, we were just like trying to be like August Burns Red. They didn't sound anything like you, and I think it's because they couldn't sound like you. And that band's crazy talented in their own regard and doing their thing. But you guys write music that only you can truly pull off. I genuinely believe that, and that's why, like every time you see every individual member doing their thing, you're like, man, fucking talented, crazy motherfuckers."
Thank you so much. Yeah,
Reason.
just kind of happy to still be here and still writing music that fits in and is expanding on what we've done before, but still slots right into the discography, you know? Like Death Below. I mean, it's like, I think it's our darkest, like personally, me speaking, I think it's our darkest sounding album to date. It's
that
like
was
that's its
literally gonna be my
identity.
next thing. To say, like, this is a dark album for you guys.
Yeah, it is. And it wasn't, you know, it's just how it turned out. But I think what's cool about that is that's how it fits into our discography, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's like there's going to be, well, hopefully we'll see. There's going to be albums after Death Below, but you got to believe there's going to be. So when you get past it, what's that album going to be like? Well, it's not going to be Death Below. Death Below has its sound. Constellations has its sound. Leveler has its sound. And there's something about each album that you can take away from it. And that's what I get from Death Below is that it's a dark, technical album.
Yeah, it's definitely got some of your heaviest moments to date for sure. Especially some of the breakdowns on it are absolutely crushing. Now, like when you said JB's been the primary songwriter for so long and he's done a great job of slowly incorporating all these other influences that can still fall under your sound. Is there anything that you guys have tried, even once or numerous times to put in there and have just sort of gone, it just isn't working, it's just not fitting, like whether it be, the clean chorus thing or, anything like that?
Well, not a certain, there isn't a sound that comes to mind that like didn't work going into a song. Like I said, there's been parts before, like the narrative, the opening song on Guardians, I tried to shoehorn a part in there where I brought the song down in intensity and it didn't work, so I discarded it. But I think a better thing to add to that would be that there's been songs that straight up didn't fit, like fit the mood of an album. Maybe not parts in a song, but certainly songs that don't fit. So if you look back at Guardians, there were two songs that didn't make that album. One of them is a song called Icarus, which, we did release. We're pretty good about releasing stuff a little bit after the album comes out, these B-sides. And Icarus was a song that that I was stoked on musically. It just like had a bunch of for a guitar player, had a bunch of sweet riffs that were very fun to play. It's very fun to play on guitar. But when you listen back to it, you're like, huh, this song stands out like a sore thumb amongst these other songs that are
in the context,
in the same vein.
Yeah.
So not necessarily a part that didn't fit a song, but like, a song that didn't fit an album is more so where I would take that.
Each album has had its own little flavor and thing that sort of like separates it. Like even going back to like the almost country style breakdown on Found in Faraway Places, you've had like little elements in each album. Is that something that's just like, oh, we want to experiment and add something like this in here? Or is that just, I'm inspired by this at the moment and let's see how we can make it fit?
Yeah, so I guess that's a better question for JB, but I'll try to have my take on it. It was at the time back then just wanting to do something that wasn't just heavy all the time, wanting to incorporate other sounds and other elements and dynamics into the music. I think the first song that I remember JB doing that for would have been Ocean of Apathy. but also like Internal Canon,
Yeah.
some of those early songs, and especially Found in Far Places having a bunch of different sounds and interludes on that record. Um, just wanting to, add dynamics and diversity to the songwriting. We had done so many records before that where there wasn't even a clean part or there was limited clean parts. So I think that's where that came from, was just wanting to experiment and incorporate other elements into our music.
Yeah. Okay.
With such a huge like catalog now, like you said, 9, 10 albums, is there any tracks that you guys haven't played live that you really want to, and you just, for some reason it's, someone's either been outnumbered or you just don't think it would work live?
There's so many songs to reflect on and think about. We have played songs before, and this was back in the day. We played songs where, like you mentioned, it just didn't go over well, but that was also back in the day, and we're more inclined to like diversify the set a little bit, and play songs that, when we were in our early 20s, we didn't want to play a slow song. Now we kind of welcome that, because when we were in our 20s, we were playing 30-45 minute sets. And now we're playing an hour and a half. So it's like, all right, let's play Meridian, let's play Carpe Diem. And I know those are popular songs amongst our fans, but they're songs that back in the day would have been like, oh, people aren't moshing, people aren't crowd surfing, like, why would we play this song?
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's definitely some songs I have to reflect on it to see, like, in our catalog, that's like, yeah, we didn't play that back in the day, but we would welcome that song now. We're playing a song called Lania Kea on this tour, and that's a B-side from Phantom Anthem. And we added it to this tour to give Matt and Jake a break, since we are playing an hour and a half, pretty much long set. And there's like a minute clean guitar intro, so everybody can like chill and take a drink of water and just like relax.
That's smart move.
You're not 20 anymore.
Yeah, 34, man.
You got your whole life ahead of you. What are you talking about?
Old man over here, he gets it.
Yeah, I'm 40, dude. It's all downhill from 34, trust me.
34 specifically.
Yeah, I'm 34 too. I'm with you, man. I'm exactly there. I don't want to go downhill.
Everything hurts.
Cheers to 34.
Yeah, hell yeah. Do you remember that? Remember back then?
Nope.
My dad tells me every decade, I remember I was born, my parents were very young, and every decade my dad would be like, man, 40 sucks, your knees start to hurt. And then he gets 50, he's like, 50 sucks. And he's just a little bit past 50 now, but it's like every decade, when he turns 60, I'm going to hear it again. Every even number.
A new ailment. Yeah, it's true though, man. I slept weird the other night and I woke up and my neck was fucked. Like I was just like a robot the whole day.
Like, that is definitely part of getting old. It's not the doing this thing hurts more. It's the fact that you just get hurt doing the dumbest shit. Yeah. I put my back out doing up my shoelaces 6 months ago, and I work in fitness for a living. I'm like a fit, healthy dude, and just doing up my shoelace did my lower back. So that's pretty cool.
That's all it takes sometimes.
Yeah, I know.
You guys had any crazy on stage injuries?
Crazy on stage injuries. Well, we've definitely slipped and fallen before on our backs. We were talking about that the other night, just a couple of years ago, that Brent just slipped on, I don't know, like a wet stage or something. It was like a turtle on his back just playing. Oh, my back.
He kept going though, at least.
Yeah, he kept going. He had to stay down until he could stand up and complete the part. So yeah, we're pretty safe though at avoiding injuries so far.
Committed to the bit. I like that.
I'd be more concerned that if Jake hit the stage, like fell on his back, that he'd crack the stage. Dude is a man.
I have to agree with you. He's a big guy. Break the floor beneath him. Actually, now that you say it, Jake did fall the other night. He stepped on a little riser we had out front. He stepped on it wrong and the legs collapsed and it hit him in the chest, and so it took his breath out of him. He was okay. He didn't he kept going, but it was just a scary moment when you see this collapse and him fall.
The riser has been obliterated though.
Yeah, it's broken. We had to get a new one. It was steel. He bent it.
Whatever that titanium riser, Jake. I'm so sorry.
So you guys have obviously done a whole shitload of touring. Is there any bands now at this point that you have always wanted to tour with or share the stage with, and it just hasn't happened for whatever reason? Who would be a bucket list touring partner?
a bucket list touring partner for me would be Gojira. I would love
Yeah.
to. I would love to tour with them, man. I'm so into them right now. So number one for me, Gojira.
I think that would be an epic show. It'd be
Yeah.
so big.
Yeah, I've heard so many
They're
stories
so good, man.
of people just, you know, like touring with Gojira or playing with Gojira and just sitting there watching Mario just play night after night because the dude's an absolute machine.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane.
I would have to do it, man. Like I said, I watch Bleed every night, and Gojira would be another band I'd be watching every night.
We were lucky
So,
to have them out
but
here.
yeah,
Recently, we got to see them, and it was pretty special.
that's awesome. I just saw them for the first time in 2021. I was blown away.
Oh shit!
Yeah, that was my first time seeing them.
Have you found post pandemic you're more willing to watch the start bands that are supporting you, or you're more willing to consume more live music because you couldn't have it for a little while? Has that like re-sparked or rekindled that love for live music?
Yeah, it certainly put things into perspective for me to try to not take things for granted, because you don't know when you're gonna have the opportunity to do it again. You know, and to wait so long for live shows. So ever since then, I've been more of a yes man when it came to, hey, do you want to go to a show tonight or next week, next month, whatever it is? It's like, no, I do want to go. Like, I don't even think about it anymore. You're like, yeah, I do want to go see that, because I don't know if I'm going to have that opportunity again. You never know when that band might not be a band anymore, you know? So
yeah, true.
Yeah.
Bands come and go very quickly in this scene as well. Like, you know, you get a band that'll come through and really turn heads, and you think that they're going to be the next big thing. And then all of a sudden it's like, we're not doing this anymore. And you're like, well, shit, didn't get to see them. So
yeah, at the drop of a hat, it can all change. And just, you know, something that comes to mind is every time I die, it makes me like, when was the last time I had the opportunity to see them? You think, well, they've been a band for so long, they're going to be here forever now.
yeah.
And then that all gets pulled out from underneath from you, and you don't have the opportunity anymore. So yeah, kind of like the pandemic and recent departures from bands, breakups, have made me like, oh yeah, I should probably go see them. Like, I haven't seen, just to point out a couple of shows I'm going to. I'm going to go see Blink after this tour.
Nice.
You know, it's been a long time since I've seen Blink, and I can't say no to it. And then the day after, I'm going to see Thrice, and Thrice is another band that I haven't seen in years. And I'm like, they're doing the 10-year anniversary for Artists in Ambulance. I got to go see it, man. It's the day after. I'm going to be exhausted because I got to drive like another 2 hours somewhere else. But like, I can't say no to it. I have to go.
You've just mentioned my two favorite bands of all time in Every Time I Die and Thrice. So you definitely become one of my favorite people very quickly. I even named my son Dustin. So
that's awesome.
So I'm creating more Dustins in the world.
Yeah, it's been so long since I've seen them, and not going to miss that opportunity.
Have you listened to 13 over 30? Yeah.
13 under 30.
30 under 30.
Yes, I did.
30 under 13. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. There's numbers, and you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I did listen to that the other day for the first time. Pretty stoked on it.
Yeah, so it feels like, because we were both very miserable when we obviously heard that Every Time I Died broken up. Having that, I don't know, slight void filled for us it was a lovely little moment. We're pretty stoked on that. Also, to have Greg back doing his things, also pretty exciting.
Absolutely, that's an album I'm really looking forward to. I can't wait to get my hands on that.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Feel free to bring them on tour over here. That'd be great. Just putting it on the wish list.
Yeah. Bring
them down. Yeah.
Have you got any favorite tour memories?
Favorite tour memories. I'll try to think of something Australian.
Specific. Yeah, that's Australia. It's fine.
Well, I do love Australia. I speak in the accent every kind of day. I try to speak in the accent.
That's pretty good.
Not bad at all.
How you guys going?
Yeah, that's very good, actually.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty damn good.
Yeah, most people really struggle with it. You also have the subtle accent done. The second part, I think, was better than the first part.
Oh, good. So very good. Maybe I tried it too hard, is what it was.
It's always, when you slip it into it for the first time, it's always hard.
That's what she said.
There's certain words. There's certain words that I only say in an Australian accent. One of them being Ethiopian. So if I go to a place, I'm like, "Can I have your Ethiopian pour over?" And they'll look at me like, "Wait a minute! Like, what did this guy just order? Yeah, Ethiopian drip coffee."
You've got the O down pat. You've nailed it. Like when you said only, you've nailed that, and that's a huge thing. I think it's certain words and certain areas of words that really is where people fuck up on accents.
Well, you just did it then, and I was going to say you've done it well. You have that upper inflection at the end of sentences, which a lot of Australians do.
Yeah,
you do it all the time. I consciously make an effort not to do it because someone pointed out to me one time and I was like, well, fuck you, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not doing that anymore.
I know what you mean. I kind of do that with my regular speaking voice. I kind of go up at the end, or it's like signify a question or something. But I've had people go, why do you talk like you're British? And I'm like, I do not sound British at all. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, it's the way you ask questions. You go up, and I'm like, I don't know. I just never really thought about it.
Do I
do it? Yeah. Do I do this?
That's true, though.
No, now you've noticed.
Yeah, I won't be able to unfucking this. Can't unsee it now. Yeah, for sure.
All right, I've got a tough question for you. I'm gonna really.
He hasn't answered the tour memory yet.
Oh yeah, sorry. Go on.
Yeah. The tour memory. I was going to get to that. We got sidetracked with the accent because I love it. So there was I can't remember what year this was, but I bet Matt $50 that he wouldn't take a shirt off and swim in the Sydney Harbor, and I didn't know it was. Yeah, see, I see your eyebrows raised up. I didn't know it was like shark infested waters.
Yeah.
So he did it. He took his clothes off. He jumped in. He swam down a little bit. We got it on camera. He actually cut his toe getting in, so he was bleeding in the water. And then he got out, and then I never paid him. JB actually paid him for me. I was broke back then, I guess. I don't know, but we found out. We told Parkway when we got back because I think it was our first time to Australia, and it was with Parkway and Architects. And I told them, or Matt told them, that he swam in the Sydney Harbor, and they were like, "What?"
Yeah, 100%.
What?
Don't do that.
No, you should not do that, right? And we had no idea. So
that's why the Sydney Aquarium is underneath there, because there's just so many sharks.
Yeah.
There's literally, I love that when we have guests out, and maybe next time you guys are out in Sydney, I take a lot of our friends to a little place called Shark Bay. There's a really great cliff that, when the boys from Arrow were out, we went there and we sat in this cliff and watched the sunset over the harbour. It's a really beautiful spot.
It's very romantic.
It's very romantic. I like to take all the bands there. But it's right next to a place called Shark Bay. And they're like, why is it called that? It's like, see all those nets out there? It's because it's the one safe place you can swim around here. Everyone's gonna be like, what?
Yeah. Don't get in the waters here.
You'll be fine. I get in the water all the time. It's all about just being quick.
Yeah, how do you deal with it?
Being quick.
Yeah. How do you
being quick compared to what? A shark?
Compared to who else is in the water with you?
Yeah,
if I'm with him, I'm safe.
I see. You just got to beat out the other people that are in the water.
Yeah.
How do you deal with our native fauna over here with the spiders and whatnot?
Oh, I thought you were talking about bogans.
Yeah.
How do you guys deal with the true blues down here?
Yeah,
that's what you're gonna say. How do we deal with the spiders? Is that what you asked?
Yeah.
I don't know that I've had an encounter with the spider down there that I remember of, outside of a normal, like a small one.
That's a good thing for a lot of people to hear, because everyone's like, they're everywhere, right? So that's what you've been here so many times and haven't experienced one.
Yeah, I haven't experienced one that stuck in my memory as, that was a big ass spider and I had to kill it or something. Nothing comes out in my mind is that.
I think the issue is, especially now with social media, every Aussie, every time there's a giant fucking spider in our living room, will be like, better get that on film. Look at this guy.
The absolute worst.
I'm the worst for it. Yeah. Because I'll sit there and I'll see the big huntsman spiders, which are, yay big sort of thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll catch them. I'll catch them in a tub because we're so used to having them around here. And we know that they're not that's my alarm, just in case I didn't get up. Yeah. So I'll just catch them, slip a bit of paper under there, put it in the container, and then go and let it outside. And every time I do that, people just freak out. Just, what are you fucking doing? Yeah. That thing's horrible.
I said
they are freaky.
The Americans have it worse though, with just all the giant land mammals that can kill you. You got bears and mountain lions and stuff. We don't have to deal with that. A spider's over there. It's fine. It's 4 meters away. It can't get me. A mountain lion is a different case.
Yeah.
Yeah, the mountain lions are only, they're secluded to certain areas in the country. And I've been in that territory and I haven't seen them. I've seen traces of them. That is freaky. And
Yeah.
then bears, like I go backpacking all the time and I've only seen a bear once, but I've never felt threatened. That doesn't mean that they're not going to threaten you, right? But I think
Yeah.
it's just all about being prepared and knowing how to deal with it. Whereas a spider, I it's just like programmed in me and us to be like, oh no, that's not good.
Yeah.
But there is a certain limit to the size because I let spiders live too. I'll go, through the extra effort to like take them outside or
Yeah.
relocate them. But I always say, I'm like, if there's one that's too big, I'm like, oh no, sorry, buddy, you gotta go.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, but your
Yeah.
size.
Even
I'm
the
so
biggest
sorry.
spider, your foot is still bigger. So, with a mountain lion or a bear, you're like, nah, I'm probably not squishing this guy under my boot.
You could try.
Yeah, that's
We'll
true.
get
Yeah,
out of.
that is true.
Now, my hard question was going to be this is we've done this before, we ask hard questions, but you have to pick your personal favorite ABR album and your personal least favorite. You don't necessarily, it doesn't mean that you don't like it. It just means which is your personal.
Yeah. So fans out there, don't get upset.
Yeah. Okay, so should I start with my favorite or my least favorite? I should probably start with my least favorite and go to the positive side, right?
Yeah.
Love that attitude. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So my least favorite record when I'm looking at our discography is, I'm thinking about it still. I was hoping I'd have it. It's got to be one of the early ones just because that's like we hadn't found out who we were yet. So
Yeah.
I'm going to say Thrill Seeker being our first record. I think that ever since then we had been expanding. Like that was the start of the band. That was the origins.
Yeah.
That's still in certain songs, and then we expanded from there. And then my favorite record is Rescue and Restore.
Oh,
Cool.
okay.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. I think that was a record that we started incorporating different sounds. I know we did before that with like Ocean of Apathy off Constellations and Internal Canon on Leveler, but delving into Rescue and Restore, we started experimenting with tunings. And so before that, we had used drop C for just about everything. And then we go down a half step to B for Rescue and Restore, just two songs, which made them sound that much darker. And also starting to incorporate different like clean elements and expanding on that side of things. Like I said, there was a lot more experimenting coming into, and the band kind of hitting its stride and really defining and finding out who we were at that point. It was a big step. When you look at Thrill Seeker and then you look at Rescue and Restore, there's just like a big step in evolution into what the band had become and what we are today, coming from, I think, Rescue and Restore.
Okay, on the back of that, another difficult question, because it was interesting to me that you said, the first album is your least favorite, because, like obviously a lot of bands, like that's such a positive time to reminisce on, like you've got that excitement, that adventure of finally doing it, finally releasing an album. And often I find bands' least favorite albums are sort of, I guess, like second, third albums or maybe mid-album in their catalog, because it's when they've hit that kind of wall where the band could have either gone up or down. Do you have an album that was, or does the band have an album that was, for whatever reason, quite difficult to make?
That is a tough question. Quite difficult to make. The way that we had operated in the past, like looking at Thrill Seeker, Messengers, Constellations, those records were, and even Rescue and Restore and Found in Faraway Places. I'm trying to think of what would this first record would have been, but I guess just get my thought out first. Rather, back then, all those records, they were written before we got in the studio, and we would sit down with the engineer, whoever it was at the time, whether it was Tu Madsen for Messengers or Jason Sukoff for Constellations Leveler, or Adam D with Thrill Seeker, which I wasn't a part of Thrill Seeker. I joined in 2006 in between Thrill Seeker and Messengers. Jake and I joined at that time. It's like those songs were already written. They might have changed a little bit, but maybe getting further into like Death Below, the whole record wasn't completed in one session, as opposed to those records where it was like, we have 4 weeks, we have 7 weeks, whatever time it is to finish the album, it's already done, we got to go record it now. Whereas Death Below we had years with Death Below.
Yeah.
We recorded 6 songs, we come back, we record 3 songs, we come back, we finish the album. So that's why I'm going to say that Death Below was one of the more difficult albums because of the time that went into it, the uncertainty of touring, and being in a room with 3 people, at the very beginning of the pandemic, is when we kind of got started. It wasn't difficult to complete, but there was a lot of stressful, anxiety-driven things that was happening in the world and at the time that might have made things a little bit more difficult. So, but
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
As a whole, yeah.
It
as
also
a whole,
shows,
we just haven't had like. Sorry, go ahead.
It also shows that you guys are obviously a real tight-knit group, you know what I mean? Like, there hasn't been any sort of, if there's no album that sticks out, we're going, like a couple of members were sort of up in the air about things. And it sounds like you guys are obviously really tight and have a pretty strong sort of, I guess, ability to work through everything together, and which is obviously really good for a band that's been together for so long.
Yeah, we've never been a band to write in the studio. Like I said, it's occasionally, or I'm sorry, more so often, everything's done. Maybe you change some notes or something like that, but like Death Below, even with Death Below, all those songs were done except for like The Abyss. That was one that I was working on while JB was recording something in the studio, and we kind of like built on that in the studio. But as a whole, like, we're always going into the studio well prepared to track, and everything is written. So yeah, we're always pretty prepared when it comes time to do an album.
Did you, in recording The Abyss, ever do the Spider-Man meme with you, Jake, and JT all standing pointing at each other?
We should have, we didn't, but
there's a missed opportunity there.
Since we all do look the same.
You all just have the same vibe going on. I don't know.
Yeah, I love JT. I'm so happy he's part of that song.
Me too. He's that boy. We had such a good time when they were out here.
Yeah, they're great fun.
Awesome. I love him so much.
Absolutely
such a good dude.
Powerhouse vocalist too.
Yeah. With this album, you guys have kind of gone with the same producer for a while now. Is that a comfort factor? Is that just a trust thing, or is it there's no one else you'd rather work with? What's the reasoning there?
Dude, it's a culmination of all those things you just listed. He is in the town. They are Grant and Carson. They're in Lidditz. That's where 4 of the 5 members live. So that's an extreme convenience. But not just limited to that. We were friends with them. We've been friends with them since before we started recording with them. Carson did our demos for Messengers way back in the day. So we have this great friendship, and now we have this awesome working relationship with them that we've been building on ever since recording. Sled and Hill was the first thing we did with them, and then Rescue and Restore was our first original LP that we did with them. And so we've just been kind of building on that, and they have been too. They've been growing as producers and engineers. They have an awesome new studio that, as I mentioned earlier, Death Below was completed in several sessions. Their studio wasn't finished being built until the very last session that we did with them for Death Below. So it's such a nice space, man. It's inspiring to just be in there. It's such a cool place to be.
Yeah, right.
I just want to say, on mention of Christmas albums and things like that, on behalf of all metalheads, thank you so much for giving us something we can listen to through the festive season that doesn't make us want to rip our fucking ears off. Because every time, like my kiddos are metalheads as well. So every time it's time to put the tree up and do the decorations or go driving around looking at Christmas lights, it's always the Christmas albums, man. And it's so much better than having to put on Mariah Carey or Bublé.
Hey, don't knock the boobs.
I like it, right. But a little goes a long way.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Anyway, he's a busy man. Should we let him go with the final question, the hard one?
Take it away, Jody.
Okay, you're about to get on stage. Biggest headline show to date. Gajira is actually in the audience watching you guys.
They've just supported.
Yeah, they've supported you. The tables, they're just, yeah, you guys are. All right, you have to go on stage wearing either cold, wet socks or cold, wet underwear. What do you choose and why? You have to put them on before you go on stage, cold and wet.
Cold and wet. Cold, wet socks. I gotta tell you why.
Okay, please do.
I'm putting cold, wet socks on because my feet sweat so much anyways that they're gonna get wet. And the fact that they're colder tells me they're not gonna sweat as much. They actually might not sweat at all since they're cold and wet. But,
okay, fair enough.
But yeah, that's my choice. You guys both looked very disappointed.
No. I was stoked. I'm team socks.
Yeah,
He's team underwear.
I'm team underwear.
Okay.
And it's weird because it's recently everyone we've asked that question to, it's swung back around. A lot of people used to say underwear.
The last two have both been team socks.
They've been team
and
socks,
they've
yeah.
had great reasons, and they're both right. So, well done, Dusty.
Cheers. Yeah, I gotta say socks.
Yeah, you did the right one. Well done. Dude, we're stoked to have you on. Thanks for taking the time. Congratulations again on Death Below. And we can't wait to get you guys out here one time in the very near future.
Hopefully that's very soon. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I hope so. I can't wait to you guys and maybe speak my accent with you guys down there a little bit.
You'll fit right
That was
in.
kind of shite, but
We'll give you plenty of time to practice.
I'm gonna fit right in. Yeah.
All right, dude. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
All right, you too. Thanks for having me, guys.
Legend.